Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is the Russian satellite nuke in prophecy. As you recall, a Russian satellite nuke reportedly has just been launched into the atmosphere. Is that bogus or is that true? Does that fit in with Bible prophecy? We're going to explore that today. Now, first of all, a couple of things I need to remind you of. I talked about this yesterday. Will China attack Taiwan somewhere between February 10 to 24, 2024? 2024, as in like, in less than 10 days? Okay, is that going to happen? Does that relate to Russia reportedly sending up a suitcase nuke into the atmosphere? That's what we're going to discuss today, and sad to say, it probably does. I probably don't have good news for you today. Okay, now you recall this is from one of Vicky Parnell's dreams, where she says that she was shown a countdown. First, Kazakhstan and the troubles there would happen. That's already happened. And then the Ukraine problem, and that's already happened. Next is Taiwan in yellow. Now, before we get started, if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, please do so. It will help us to reach other people. Also, we're asking people to join the Prophecy Club, $9.90 a month or more, so that when the hard times hit, we can continue. We can still make it through it, because if you think about it, during the hard times, that's when you're going to want Prophecy Club more than any other time. You can join by clicking a little QR code down there. That's an easy way to do it. All right, first article. Russia launch on February 9th causes U.S. national security threat today. 5 days ago on February 9th, Roscosmos, the Russian space agency, conducted a rocket launch into space carrying cargo for the Russian military of defense. Earlier today, February 14th, U.S. Congressman Mike Turner, a rhino, head of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, announced that the nation a new destabilizing threat to national security, and revealed to all members of Congress that are now able to go into secure House briefing and learn all the details. Within the offices of the U.S. House of Representatives is a segmented compartmentalized information facility. Anyone entering it is searched for any and all electronic devices that are forbidden. Entrants are also barred from taking any notes. They are in a read-only classified materials setting. In the notice above, the words destabilizing foreign military capability, if I can read today, destabilizing means it is a power that they have, which we do not have, meaning Russia can do this and we can't. I'm sad to say, truth was known, Russia probably can do a lot of things militarily now that we can't, because God has decided to bring this nation down and has given them that capability. That's what destabilizing means in this context. In other words, they can do it, we can't. CNN and other media outlets are claiming this has something to do with Russia, and it may. So on February 9th, the Cosmos 2575 mission was launched by Roscosmos using a Soyuz 2 rocket carrying, quote, an unknown payload into space for the Russian Ministry of Defense. It is almost guaranteed by our spy satellites and ground-based information gathering capabilities that we have kept close watch on whatever went up. My personal layman's first guess is fractional orbital bombardment system weaponry. What's that? Okay, here's the way it works. My understanding is. Here we go. Okay. Let's say the bomb goes up like this and it's just orbiting. And every so often it goes through the same orbit. And after a while, we see it, we know it's there, but we're not doing anything about it. But at what time? Maybe about the same time, China invades Taiwan and America starts getting involved. Maybe they say, psst, they change the orbit, they bring it down, and they hit America. I'm going to show you that's exactly what the prophecies say is coming. All right, let's go on. FOBs are space-based nuclear bombs, actual warheads, that can be released at any time. In other words, at their choice. They just float up there till they're ready to bring them down. They orbit the Earth several times under their own power for many months or maybe even years. Then they come down anywhere on the planet with zero advance warning to the intended target. So you would have, I don't know how. Maybe an hour, maybe 10 minutes warning, maybe no warning. A particular city in a particular country would go from happy-go-lucky to vaporized with zero warning. Now, that's not what the prophecies say. The prophecies say it's for EMP. There is no defense to such weaponry. But again, that's why we want prophecy. We want to know what God says about it. And that's what I'm bringing you today. He goes on to say as an update, I can now report that Russia has, allegedly, developed the ability to neutralize U.S. space assets or any other type of space-based system. Now here, you remember there's a scripture, I believe it's Jeremiah 50 or 51, says that her arrows will not return in vain. Okay, what guides most of our weapons today? The answer is satellites. Russia has their own set of satellites. We have our own set of satellites. So if Russia can take out most, or especially all, of our satellites, that means all of our fancy satellite-guided weapons are useless. They won't hit anything. The U.S. Department of Defense warned in 2023 that Russia had been testing space-based kinetic and anti-satellite weapons for some time. And it now appears that they have deployed that capability. But now Russia's denying, oh, no, we don't have any space-based weaponry. The claim is it's just a trick to get UK funding. Okay, well, this is where Bible prophecy and listening to God's prophets and the holy servants of God comes in handy. So what's the truth? So then we go to what the prophecies say about it. So what do the prophecies say about some kind of nuke in space? Is there going to be one? Will it be used? How's it going to be used? Tracy Meeks, 7/24/2022. I was in my childhood neighborhood, the dream. People were walking as normal. I saw an airport control tower in the distance, and a huge flash filled the sky. Everything in all directions went dark. No electricity anywhere. People started panic running. I said aloud, well, that must be an EMP blast. It took out all the electronics. Several people ran into a house for shelter. There were men, women, children with me. For a while, we ventured out. We finally reached a house that had electricity. The scene changed my childhood home. A security officer was standing on top of the garage, a group of people running, trying to escape. The thought came to me that this must be the mass arrests. Okay, so we've got this nuke that is orbiting the Earth. The Russians control it. And at what time they decide to take out all of our electricity, all they have to do is just redirect it, you see, have it come on down and hit. And that's exactly what the prophecies say. And that's why you want to have one of these. It's the EMP Shield. Have one on my car, have one on our house, and you get a $50 discount if you use that promo code prophecy, empshield.com. Recommend you get one. Okay, let's go on. Okay, so who's Maurice Sklar? Well, I've had him in my home on 2 occasions. He has been a guest speaker at our crusade twice, and we've had him in at the Prophecy Club to make a DVD which you can watch instantly at watchprophecyclub.com. He says, I saw a huge angel standing suspended in the air over New York Harbor. It looked so large that it covered the night sky. His body was clad in golden armor as if he was going to war. Now, let me just say, I know Maurice. I know his now deceased wife, and he hears from God. His body was clad in golden armor as if he was going to war. His face was the entire being, was so bright I couldn't gaze at him for long. White beams of light seemed to radiate outward from him in all directions. My guess is, as Michael is the angel over Israel, I think this is the angel over America, but we've never heard the name of this angel. He was standing over the Statue of Liberty. It was night, but I could hardly see the lights around him come from New York City as he blazed so brightly with divine light. He reached for his belt that was covered with a red sash around his midsection and drew out his sword. It was so massive. It blazed with light and fire all around it. It looked at least 100 foot long, and I've never felt such fear when I saw an angel before. I just knew that this mighty warring spirit had authority from the very throne of God. He had a grim expression as he held his mighty sword over his head with both hands. I could see that he was poised to hit the Statue of Liberty and cleave it in two. I trembled and tried to hide, but the angel was looking directly at me, and I knew there was nowhere to go that he would not see me. Then he spoke. His voice was like thunder and echoed through the whole harbor, and he said, "How long will you refuse to humble yourself, O America? You have been weighed in the balances of God and found wanting. Your beginning was great and noble, but your end shall be disgrace and destruction. Thus saith the Lord God of heaven's armies, the Lord of hosts, time is running out." Now remember, this was when? Let's look. Okay, this is back in 2014. Okay, that's 10 years ago. So you imagine where we are now, okay? Time is running out. The bowels of my wrath are full of fury and judgment. They shall be poured out upon you, and you shall drink them down to the dregs every drop. I have come to you day and night pleading with you to return to me for over 100 years. I am merciful and long-suffering, and it brings me no joy to judge you. But you have hardened your hearts, scoffed at my warnings through my prophets and my holy servants. I brought you out from nothing and exalted you, O America, higher than any other nation. But now you have fallen lower than Sodom. You have sinned greater than Egypt. You have become prouder than Babylon and Persia. You have become more selfish than Rome. You have exalted yourself in your own wisdom higher than Greece. You have more idols and high places of idolatry and luxury than any Gentile kingdom in history. Your beginning was pure and great, but now the stench of your sin and filth fills my nostrils. I shall cut you in pieces, and you shall reap the harvest of wrath from what you have sown. You shall no longer be the queen of nations. Remember Revelation 18 says, I sat as a queen, and shall see no widow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. Same words. Now you shall bear your shame and become the lowest of the heathen nations. Now, as Agag, you shall be hacked in pieces, O earth, earth, earth. Hear ye the word of the Lord. Now, you remember that if we split Israel, God is going to split America. And I have 12 different people that have been shown that. Here's one of them. Then to my horror, that massive sword came smashing down on the Lady Liberty. When it hit the top of her head, there was a blinding flash of light. The sword split her in two. I mean, right down the middle, just like the Great Lakes opening up all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico would do, you see. Then the sword came down again and again against her. It divided her in pieces. As the sword would finish each strike, fires would burst forth. I heard terrible explosions. The vision of the statue ended with an earthquake as it was hacked into pieces and sunk into the harbor. That sounds just like Revelation 18, where it says, and there was a great earthquake, and every mountain fled away, and the islands fled away, and the mountains were not found. And there was a great earthquake, and the great city divided into three pieces. All of that fits all perfectly with Revelation 18. I was weeping and crying out to God for mercy. Never have I seen this side of God before. I'd only really known the love and goodness of him. Never had I seen the wrath of the Almighty. Then, as I was watching from a zoomed-in close-up, the dream shifted, and I started to zoom out from New York Harbor and started traveling in the air over America. What I saw was horror beyond anything. Beyond anything I've ever seen. I saw the United States seem to crack in two with a giant earthquake right down the middle. That is what the other, 12 or 14 prophecies say. I saw the southeastern United States covered with a giant wave of water from the ocean. You remember that's what Ephraim Rodriguez said he saw. He saw a meteor hit Mona Island just west of Puerto Rico, send a 400-foot tsunami down the east coast, go inland anywhere from 20 to 100 miles inland, but where it hit was an earthquake fault, which opened up the Great Lakes all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, and he said he saw great parts of California, from California all the way up into Alaska, fall into the ocean. Same thing. Great cities along the west coast just fell into the ocean, all the way from Mexico to Alaska. And giant waves flooded inland until much of the west coast just wasn't there. It had disappeared into the Pacific Ocean. Then, now here it is. This is what we've been looking for. Then I saw 3 giant rocket missiles that took off into the air. 2 came out of the ocean waters. Remember, that's what Dmitry said, from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, okay? Took off into the air, 2 came out of the ocean waters, and 1 came from the land and traveled a great distance. All of them blew up in the air, 1, 2, 3, in the upper atmosphere within 5 minutes of each other. Now, why upper atmosphere? Because this is not a ground burst. This is not like Hiroshima or Nagasaki. This is something that explodes up near outer space to send an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse, down on the Earth, which fries every computer chip except for the ones that the military uses that won't fry, but it fries them, and they're dead, and they aren't going to be brought back to life. That means not a car will start. I can show you many prophecies of people. I recall one guy who says he was at a ball game, and all of a sudden there was a flash. No one's car started. Anyway, let's go on. It was out near space. There were terrible nuclear bombs. But the last one was the biggest, and it created a giant mushroom cloud over the Middle West part of America. Then the ground shook and everything just went black. That's the EMP. There wasn't any electric light coming out of any of the homes. I hope you're hearing this. Then candles began to be lit and fires, and a little light was seen. There were other nuclear explosions, and many people perished throughout the nation. Now, let me say something about that. There's actually been a lot of research on this, and they say that if the electricity was cut off to America, something in the ballpark of like 90% of the people would be dead within 12 months. Okay, well, think about it. Okay, so electricity goes off. That means that in about 48 to 96 hours, things in your refrigerator now reached room temperature. So everybody's trying to gorge and eat everything they can. And then after a little while, they have to throw it out. And that's what Coverstone saw. He saw giant vultures eating a whole bunch of stuff. They were gorged. But then there's no food. And that's why you want to go to Joseph's Kitchen now, so you can get food that, I mean, it's what the world lived off of for 7 years during the day of Joseph and Pharaoh, okay? So wheat is what God intends us to live on, in my opinion. josephskitchen.com. josephskitchen.com. They got videos up there. As a matter of fact, I've even on one of the videos. Explain to you how this thing works. So probably within a week, most all of the food in the grocery stores has been confiscated, stolen. And probably within 30 days, there's starting to be roving gangs. Oh, well, where'd the roving gangs come from? Well, yeah, it's probably Americans, but it's also those people just came in, some 6 million of them, so says Chris Reed, that has come across our southern border, and probably also our east and west and our north borders too. And these people don't care. They don't even speak our language. They don't love our nation. And so they go around raping, killing, plundering, and that's what it's talking about. And sad to say, this could start February 24th. That's February 15th when I'm recording this. Okay, so that's 9 days from when I'm recording this now. It'll be 8 days if you see it when it's posted. Stan, are you really thinking it could be that close? Look, I told you something. I got 5 dreams in the last 2 weeks, and the dream told me to start selling stuff, and I have been selling stuff. I have been getting rid of the extra burden. I've been getting rid. I'm preparing myself for some real lean times, my brothers and sisters. So, can I say this is it? Well, I can't, but Vicky Goforth Parnell certainly does. And it agrees with several other people. Let's go on. There wasn't any electric light coming out of the homes. Then candles to be lit, and fires, and a little light was seen. There were other nuclear explosions. Was that suitcase nukes? And many people perished, or maybe that was the total Russian attack. Many people perished throughout the nation. There were just twisted metal and charred debris in the cities that were once tall and majestic. There was widespread looting and gangs, illegal aliens, okay? Roaming about everywhere with guns. Where'd they get the guns? They stole them, okay? Or, I don't know, maybe the Molochs gave them the guns. stealing whatever food and supplies they could find. Then I saw what looked like an elite riot police by the thousands go into communities and even cities and forced the people out of their homes and brought them into what looked like concentration camps. Oh, surely not. We heard about a concentration camp back in the 90s, and that never happened. No, but maybe it's about to happen right now. Some, but not all of these, quote, police armies had light blue helmets on. Who wears light blue helmets? Oh, that would be the UN. Hundreds of thousands of people were arrested in this way. Many would not cooperate, and they were simply shot and left dead in their homes. I know of at least one, I think two other prophecies that said exactly the same thing. See, I can't bring it all to you, okay? But there were millions of hidden groups that escaped the first wave of these terrible disasters. Then, just like Shane Warren and several others have said, revival broke out. The greatest evangelists and prophets and apostles rose up and began to preach to thousands outdoors. Many were saved and were born again. I have had a dream and a vision that I was speaking in a sports stadium. I think I've told you that, but I'll tell you quickly. So in 1997, when Dimitri Duduman died, I was very upset. I just canceled all my appointments. I went out to a little cabin out by the river, took my Bible and some distilled water, and I fasted. Nothing but distilled water in my Bible for 7 days. On the sixth morning, I woke up into a vision. First time I had a vision, and I'm pretty sure it was at the Kansas City, where the Kansas City Chiefs just won the Super Bowl. I think it was that same stadium there. And anyway, I was outside, and I don't have time to tell you all the details, but I believe me, I got them, and I mean, I won't forget them. But I was speaking there, and I had organized it. And I was also interviewed by a TV lady wearing a green dress. And one of the questions she asked me is, why is it that so many miracles show up at your meetings? Miracles of provision, multiplication of food and water, and astonishing healings occurred. Remember what God told me? That when the judgment hits, so are my miracles. Miracles like no one has seen, going all the way back to Adam and Eve. Let's go on. Millions of people cried out to God, and he heard and answered. I knew that this was not just happening in America, but the Great Tribulation was upon them. And all over the world, these calamities and revivals were all taking place. Then I saw multitudes of tribulation saints refusing to renounce Jesus as Lord. They were starving, many of them. They still refused to take the stamp on their bodies so they could eat and live. There was what looked like kiosks that were in every little town. They advertised food, water, but only if you went inside and took the little electronic mark. Some went in, bowed down to a holographic image of the Antichrist, and were branded in their hands and foreheads with an electronic tattoo-like stamp. When they came out, if they came out, they had a zombie-like look. Their minds and souls were gone. It looked like they had a spiritual lobotomy. Then these immediately joined the armies of those police units and were given weapons after they were fed and drank and rested in the kiosks. They were like robots doing the Antichrist's bidding. And what would the Antichrist's bidding do? If you don't have the mark, kill them. I knew that they were lost forever, but quite a few did not make it out. When they were tortured mentally and physically inside the kiosk thing, but if they still refused the mark of the beast, there was a laser that shot through their brain and heart, sliced their heads off, then they were immediately incinerated. Nothing but ashes remained. This was the most horrifying of all. It made the Nazi death camps look like a picnic. Millions of people were executed via kiosks, automatically with precision and efficiency. The technology was more advanced than anything I'd ever seen. Now let me jump to Vicky Parnell. Now this one is a long one, and I'm only going to read like a couple of paragraphs, but it is a confirming voice. It began with me observing our world from space, outer space, except the Earth looked more like a globe, with all the lands identified with the countries' names labeled on them. Suddenly, I watched its lights begin covering the whole world, representing homes and cities and the lights of civilization across our world, the Earth. Skipping now. I look into another container being loaded into what looks like a submarine or possibly a drone. I'm not sure what I'm seeing, so I have the angel Michael. What's these devices I now see? Daughter of heaven. They are electromagnetic pulse devices, also known as EMPs. The portable ones will be used in areas of strong resistance in your nation as the invasion begins upon its soil. So, what I suggest is that you not take these 5 things. Then no man might buy or sell save he had the mark. Okay, what's the mark? This is, we know from 3 people, this is what the mark looks like. The mark or the name, we do not know the name of the Antichrist yet, but we'll know. And the number, this is his number, or 666. We know that from me and another person can verify that. And I saw, as it were, a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them gotten victory over the beast, here, over his image, here, over his mark, and over the number of his name. Stand of the sea of glass having the harps of God. In other words, whatever you do not take any one of those 5. Because if you do, the smoke of the burning ascendeth up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, who worship the beast, his image, or whosoever receiveth the mark of his name. In other words, you're tossed into the lake burning with fire and brimstone for all eternity with no hope, no possibility of escape, and torment is total pain. You're totally, totally, totally burned for all eternity. Do not take that mark. So to help you, God had me write this book. This one is simple. It's easy. It's a quick read. But if they'll read 2 or 3 pages, they'll probably finish the whole book. If they finish the whole book, they will not take the mark of the beast. You can get it at prophecyclub.com. Matter of fact, I just asked their office. This is the #1 selling book at the Prophecy Club right now. And it explains all of this, so get the book. There's probably what the mark looks like. This is the number of the name. Let me also tell you about my other book. This is the granddaddy. This is the first book that I wrote. What happened is, 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation, as you can tell. I got 30 revelations and 2 visions and 1 audible voice, and I wrote this book. One of them told me to write the book. God showed me that the word first fruits is actually a secret door, found in Revelation and Leviticus, linking the feasts to the prophecies. Revelation is not written chronologically. When linked for the first time, the prophecies of Revelation can be put into correct chronological order. One prophetic word to me said, there is a lock that I put over a word in the book of Revelation that I'm going to open to you. He had no idea I'd written a book. It will turn so many books written on the end time message into obsolete books. That's this book. This one is the granddaddy. I think this one is the one that will sell millions of copies. This is the one that people will turn to when these things start hitting to understand the last days. And yes, you can get it at prophecyclub.com. Prophecyclub.com. Secret order. As a matter of fact, there's a fantastic deal down there where you can get like 80 books for $100, I think it is. Or maybe it's 40 books. Anyway, prophecyclub.com will tell you. Also, I recommend you go to 800-200-GOLD. 800-200-GOLD. Get yourself some gold and silver. These are the guys that specialize in helping you get your IRAs and 401ks put into solid metal rather than just paper. This is Joseph Kitchen. This is where I recommend you go to get your long-term storage food. You want to get a machine package. This guy right here. This is what you want to get first. This is the gizmos to make the bread. Then you decide how much food you want. Food for 1 person, 2 people, 4 people, 6 people a year. And I got videos explain all of it up there. josephkitchen.com. Get yourself prepared. It could be that February 24th or before the end of the month, it could be that they attack Taiwan. China attacks Taiwan, and all of a sudden, a lot of prophecies that we've been talking about start happening. Get prepared.